Well, hey, so far we've talked about 3 of the drop zones of the pivot table, the column labels, the row labels, and the sum values. We haven't looked at the report filter drop zone at all. The report filter is a great feature in pivot tables. If you've been using pivot tables in earlier versions of Excel, it used to be called the page fields area. We need to reset this pivot table a little bit, so I'm going to go back to the Options tab and say that I want to expand the entire field so that way we can see both the customers and products that exist. I'm going to take the customer field and move it from the row labels area up to the report filter area. Now you see that we have a simple pivot table with products going down the left-hand side and regions going across the top. At the intersection of each product and region is the revenue. We have a new drop-down that appears in cell B1 right next to the customer heading. This drop-down initially says all, but if we open the drop-down, we can choose one specific customer. And now we see the revenue by region and product for that one particular customer. This feature has been in pivot tables for a long time, but Excel has dramatically improved it in Excel 2007. I'm going to choose the drop-down again, and I'm going to expand this dialog box so we can see all of our options. The expand indicator are the 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner of the dialog box. If I click those and drag out, I'll be able to enlarge this dialog box. This is a great new feature in Excel 2007. Before, we were always stuck with the tiny little drop-down boxes. Now, you'll notice that we have a list of all of our customers. If I want to see just one customer, just as in Excel 2003, I would click that customer. But we have a new option in the lower left-hand corner called Select Multiple Items. Once I've selected multiple items, I can either choose to show 2, 3, 4, or 5 customers, or all customers by clicking the All button. Let's say that for some reason, I need to see the first 5 customers in the list. Excel now shows me the totals for those 5 customers. One complaint that I have is that in cell B1, they've indicated that I've selected multiple items, but they have not told me which items I've selected. I appreciate that it's a great feature that I can choose multiple customers. Let's say there were divisions of a company and I needed to choose all those divisions. The problem is it's very hard if I print this report to understand what items I've selected. I might even want to put a little note somewhere as a footnote saying that these are the customers that are included in the pivot table. There's another great use for the report filter fields. I've seen people build executive information systems where they actually take all of their text fields and move them to the report filter. Let's do that. Then take all of their numeric fields and add them to the sum values area. We've now created a very simple ad hoc reporting tool. Anyone, even the vice president down the hall, could open this workbook and select a particular combination of region, product, and customer and see the total that was sold to that combination. Now, of course, you and I know the VP is never going to do this. They're still going to call you, but at least the concept is there. Let's try it. I'll choose all customers and then say that I just want to see the North region for the A354 product. The pivot table automatically redraws to show us the revenue, quantity, cost of goods sold, and profit for that combination. I could do this all day, choosing different combinations of customer, region, product, and date. Makes a great ad hoc reporting tool using the report filters, just as we've had in several versions of Excel. Now, beyond this, Microsoft has added a filtering feature to fields that are in the row labels and column labels area. We need to rearrange our pivot table in order to see this. So I'm going to unselect quantity, cost of goods sold, and profit. I'm going to move the customer field to the row labels area. I now see all the customers who purchased this particular product in this particular region. In order to use the new filters, they're actually hidden. It's amazing. If you look in the pivot table field list, the customer appears twice. There's a customer entry in the top of the pivot table field list and a customer entry in the bottom of the pivot table field list. At all times, in the bottom of the pivot table field list, we see a drop-down next to customer. That's not the drop-down you want to use. You actually have to use the drop-down that's next to the customer in the top half of the pivot table field list. Now you're looking and you say, oh wait, there is no drop-down. You have to hover over the word customer and a drop-down appears. Choose the drop-down and you'll see the great new filtering options available for fields in the row labels and column labels area of the pivot table. If I open the label filters section, we can build filters where we say we only want customers that begin with a certain letter or contain a certain word, greater than a certain value, or between some range of values. Depending on the type of field that I have, we might have date filters or value filters appearing in this dropdown as well. Excel takes a look at the data. If 90% of your fields are dates, then you'll get date filters. If 90% of your fields are values, you'll get value filters. And if 90% of your fields are text, then you'll get the label filters. The value filters allow us to say that we only want to see customers who have revenue greater than $50,000 or less than $100,000 or between one value and another. All of these filters are brand new in Excel 2007. The only filter that's not new is the top 10 filter. This filter will allow us to see the top 10 customers, the top 5 customers, or the bottom 2, bottom 10, bottom 20 customers. That feature was in Excel 2003, but frankly, it was buried and very few people could ever find it. Well, I kind of have to admit that it's still buried in Excel 2007 because you have to think to hover over the customer field in the top half of the pivot table field list in order to see these new filters.